Right now, you've either been high before or you're going to be, or you know someone who is high right now and they definitely didn't tell you. And whoever it was, they probably thought they were doing something modern, something their ancestors definitely didn't do. They are embarrassingly wrong, because getting high is not a habit humans developed. It's not a phase. It's not even a choice, really. Because it starts somewhere your brain won't let you reach. It starts inside the hardware itself. Your brain has a system called the endocannabinoid system, actual dedicated receptors built into your biology, specifically designed to respond to cannabis compounds. You were born with it. Nobody asked. Nobody installed it. You came out of the womb pre-wired. Scientists believe this system evolved over hundreds of millions of years. Its job is to regulate mood, pain, appetite, and memory. It's basically your brain's internal management team, keeping everything running, handling complaints, making sure you don't completely fall apart. And every management team needs something to call in. So the brain built the phone. And at some point in human history, something picked up. The question is, what and when? In 2019, archaeologists were excavating a site in western China called Zherzongkul Cemetery. Inside ancient tombs, they found wooden bowls that had been burned. When scientists analyzed what was left inside those bowls, they found cannabis. Not just any cannabis. Cannabis with unusually high THC content. Not hemp grown for rope. Not fiber for clothing. This was grown specifically to get you high. These tombs are 2,500 years old. But here's the part that stops you cold. The people buried there weren't buried alone. They were placed on wooden beds, surrounded by harps, food, and those burning bowls. This wasn't a party. This was a funeral. These people were hotboxing the tomb. Someone's ancestor is in the ground, and the send-off was, we're going to play some music, eat some food, and burn high THC cannabis so we can talk to you on your way out. I genuinely don't know what's more impressive, that they were doing this 2,500 years ago, or that they had better funeral planning than most people do today. But 2,500 years is practically recent, because in the Taklamakan Desert, researchers found preserved cannabis plants deliberately placed inside a tomb dating back 2,700 years. Still clearly intentional, still clearly ritual, and they aren't alone. Across dozens of sites, from Central Asia to the Mediterranean, archaeologists keep finding the same pattern. Psychoactive plants, deliberately placed, deliberately burned, always in the context of either death or religion, every single time. Which means for ancient humans, getting high and talking to God were basically the same appointment. Same room, same plants, same experience. Now we need to talk about the mushrooms. And I need you to understand that what I'm about to tell you is a real scientific theory with a real name, proposed by a real researcher, not something someone made up on the internet at 2 a.m. A writer and researcher named Terence McKenna proposed what he called the stoned ape theory. His argument was this: when early humans were migrating across Africa, following herds of animals, they would have encountered psilocybin mushrooms growing in animal dung. And when they ate those mushrooms, something happened to their brains. The visual and cognitive effects, he argued, may have directly stimulated the development of language, memory, and complex thought. His argument, stripped down, is that psychedelic mushrooms may have helped build the human mind. Mainstream scientists pushed back on this. The evidence isn't airtight. But here is what nobody argues about. Ancient humans absolutely ate psilocybin mushrooms. We know this because they painted it. Cave paintings in the Sahara, dated between 7,000 and 9,000 years old, show human figures holding mushroom-shaped objects. Figures that researchers believe represent shamans in the middle of a psychedelic ritual 9,000 years ago, before the wheel, before writing, before cities. Before every single thing you call civilization, someone was standing at a cave wall painting the mushroom experience in careful detail, which raises the question McKenna was really asking. What if the visions came before the temples built to explain them? What if the experience came first, and the religion was just humans trying to make sense of what they'd already seen? We don't know, but the paintings exist, and they were made by people with a lot of time, a lot of open sky, and apparently a very adventurous relationship with whatever was growing in the dirt. Here's where it gets truly strange. This wasn't happening in one place. This wasn't one culture stumbling onto one plant and building a tradition around it. This was happening everywhere, simultaneously. In cultures that had never met each other, never traded with each other, never even knew the other existed. In Bolivia, archaeologists discovered a burial bundle containing multiple psychoactive substances, including the exact ingredients needed to make ayahuasca, a powerful hallucinogenic brew that is still used in ceremonies today. The bundle was dated to around 1,000 years ago, but the plants had been growing in the Amazon for thousands of years before that. In South America, researchers found cocaine residue in mummies dating back over 3,000 years, not in one mummy, in several, across different populations, meaning this wasn't an accident. It wasn't one person's unusual habit. Coca leaves were being consumed regularly, across generations, as a completely normal part of life. In ancient Egypt, cannabis shows up in some of the oldest medical texts in the world, prescribed for pain, inflammation, and a range of conditions that doctors were otherwise struggling to treat. So here's the full picture. 9,000 years ago, they were painting the experience on cave walls in the Sahara. 3,000 years ago, they were finding cocaine residue across South American mummies. 2,700 years ago, they were placing cannabis deliberately in tombs. 2,500 years ago, they were burning it at funerals to speak to the dead. And by the time civilization was fully operational, it was inside the religion, the medicine, and the politics of every major culture on Earth.